Hocus Pocus 2, Tyler?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Smiles wrapped up, so 3.5 stars for George, 1.5 for Seth. But Hocus Pocus 2, I saw the original Hocus Pocus, way back in the day. It's 29 years old, for God's sake. So 29 years later, they've made a sequel to this. What are your thoughts, Cam?
I rewatched Hocus Pocus this week, and I do
Same.
think Hocus Pocus 2 is better. I have Hocus Pocus at a 43 and Hocus Pocus 2 at a 50. No, 54. Yeah. So I do think it's a little bit better, and that just comes from the fact I think they got better actors for these kids. Bette Midler, God, I can't even think of everyone who's playing these people, of who's playing the witches, but yeah, whatever. They're obviously fine. It's not a movie you need any acting chops, really, but like the kids in the original Hocus Pocus kind of suck really badly. But it's a fun little like horror movie that if you see it as a kid, you'll probably like it in the future. I watched it as a kid and remember like being scared of it when I was 8, or when I was 6. I don't know. It came out in 1993, so maybe I saw it when I was 1, or when I was born. Who knows? But I remember liking it. It's fine. It's nothing special. Hocus Pocus 2. I'll let you give your thoughts, but I have a couple points that I wrote down of this movie.
Okay, well, I also I rewatched Hocus Pocus this week but I hadn't seen it since I was like 8 or whatever when it was on Disney Channel. Surprising amount of virgin jokes, like an unbelievable amount of virgin jokes for a Disney movie. Because because that's kind of the lore and how this movie works is that like you have to be a virgin to activate the spell. So like in Hocus Pocus 2, they couldn't just go away from that, but they like brought it up but didn't really make fun of it. But in the original Hocus Pocus, they were like, yeah, this is all happening because this guy's a virgin. I'm like, this is a Disney movie. It's just kind of bizarre.
He's also like, he's what, 17 maybe? Like 16?
If even. Like... I think, yeah, he's like a freshman in high school. And they're like, yeah, this guy's a virgin. Now there's witches in our town. I was like, Disney, chill.
Yeah.
But you said the acting performances were terrible in the original, which they were by definition, but it was
it's not something you need to.
No, but it's an early 90s movie. Yeah. So like an early 90s kids movies, that was just kind of the style where like the bullies are so over the top, like, give me your shoes, man. Yeah. And like it just kind of fit the style of the time. So I just felt the second one, like you mentioned this in last week or the week before's podcast, new movies are always better. Just kind of that blanket quote. Like obviously a movie 29 years later, so much of it's been improved since the original. But I just thought it so unnecessary and it brought nothing new to the table. And you mentioned this last week too. 29 years later, like clearly that's a cash grab because after a whole birth to adulthood of someone's life, no one's asking for the sequel. They just needed a Halloween film for Disney and they just shat this out.
My favorite thing about the original Hocus Pocus, which like is not something they would do in Disney today, is they just the main characters just leave the bullies that were bullying them at the start of the movie in the cages for the witches to like eat. Yeah. And now Disney would be like, oh, you got to save them as well. No, they just fucking left them. Just said, yeah, you guys were mean. You're dead. Have fun.
Just quickly on that was so funny too because it was like the credits cut for the original and then like they do a post-credit scene showing like, oh, by the way, they left these bullies to die.
Yeah,
and then
these guys are still hanging. No one's there. Like they're gonna die. Yeah. But Hocus Pocus 2. So it's a very classic. 3 friends. One friend has gotten popular and is dating the cool guy in school, and then I made notes of the time. So the cool friend is played by Lilia Buckingham, who actually I think was pretty good. Whitney Peak plays the main character, and then Belissa Escobida plays the like secondary friend. I sorry if I like wildly impronounce that, but the 3 friends, obviously one's cool now, so they don't call this third friend. It's an hour and a half movie. They don't call this friend until 48 minutes in, and then at that point, they have bad cell service, so their Wi-Fi, they can't see the friend. The friend hangs up. Then they don't actually meet this friend until an hour or 2 in, and then they're already friends and made up by an hour 9. And so it's like they just kind of like said, yeah, we're friends again, basically. And that was something I was so lost on because they didn't get. It's a kids Disney movie, so who cares? But it's just something I found during the movie and I was like, what the hell, where's this third friend at? And 48 minutes in, they finally are like, we should call her, she's throwing a party or whatever. Also You don't see a lot of Walgreens product placement these days, and this movie revolves around Walgreens, which is just an out there product placement. They like walk into it. And then a joke that actually really made me laugh was they at this Walgreens, they pick up brooms, right? To fly on their brooms. And one of the witches, Kathy Najimy's character, she flies on 2 Roombas. Because because
and then another one rode on a Swiffer wet jet too.
Oh,
like, there's so many unbelievable amount of product placements in this movie.
No, but the Roombas I think were off brand because they did not look like Roombas, so they were just like implied to be Roombas. But that honestly that made me laugh a little just because.
Are these really the notes you took during the movie?
Yeah, no, that's all. Those are the 3 notes.
Your reviews are hilarious.
Exact quote. Big Walgreens product placement. In parentheses, don't see that too often. Joke about broom and Roombas. 3 friends, comma, 1 is cool, in parentheses, of course. They don't call up the 3rd friend, comma, cool, comma, friend until 48 minutes. Then at 1:02, they finally meet. Then their friendship is resolved by 1:09. That's all I have. Those are the 3 notes I've made.
That's the intellectual property of ReelTok Podcast.
What were your scores again for the original and the second?
43 out of 100 for the original and a 54 out of 100.
Oh, so it's better.
Yeah, no, I do think it's better, but it's the same. It's also the same exact thing, by the way.
Yeah,
it's a remake, and not enough Hannah Waddingham.
And I didn't see Hocus Pocus 2, so I'm not commenting on that. But speaking of incredible child acting, the Black Phone, I just want to throw that out there because those kids were so fucking incredible in that movie. It actually genuinely blew me away.
Now that's a movie that, like, if it were bad kid acting, I'd be like, this sucks. But like in a Disney movie, I'm gonna be like,
but both of them, both the brother and the sister in that movie, were so goddamn good. I just could not believe it.
How old was the sister in the film as well? The actor,
she had to be like 8 or 9.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
she was great. That was surprising.
But I think we're all wrapped up on Hocus Pocus 2. So Hocus Pocus 1, I gave a 4 out of 10. I gave the second one a 3.8 out of 10. So I knocked it down a bit because, like the visuals and the camera work is better because it's 29 years later. But I don't know. There was just no need for this. It was the same thing. And just...
She's 13.
Oh, okay.
Nice.